Welcome to the Leg It Sportcast. It's me, Andy Grant.
It's me, Jordan Neal.
First off, enough people had to go at me for it. I apologise, Jordan. I apologise to the fans of the Sportcast for last week's episode not going out. It didn't even get recorded, to be fair. Never mind go out. I left my keys at home, ended up having to break into my own house. It was a nightmare. I apologise. Sorry.
We were talking earlier, weren't we, about we're going to start a little personal league between me and you about who bails each other out the most.
Yeah, it's just a constant daily thing, isn't it? I get this, yo, you got that.
So anyway. Yeah, you're on -5 for getting keys now.
Right, massive thanks again to Monterex. As always, Monterex up 15% off. Type Leg It in at checkout. We've also got another sponsor for the Sportcast, and I'm quite excited about this because we had a little play with it last week and it is good fun. It's called BetMate. Basically how it works, and I'll be honest, at the start of the Sportcast when we got asked to make a fantasy football league, I weren't that into it, and I've got massively into it. BetMate is essentially a fantasy football league for your mates. Small stakes with that kind of, you're betting against your mate, winning money off your mate. Small stakes. It's a good laugh. Me and Jordan had to go. Basically, you download the BetMate app. We'll put a link in the bio. And basically, you pick a 7-a-side team, essentially like fantasy football, but it's over that weekend. So, for example, next weekend, me and Jordan will pick a few games out. Say, for example, Liverpool, Everton, maybe United, City. And then you pick a 7-a-side team with all those players in, and it gets scored accordingly. So, for example, they've took all the best bits out of fantasy football and put it into this. So, for example, they do assists, clean sheets, shot saves, tackles, interceptions, penalty saves, yellow cards, red cards. Your little 7-a-side team goes head-to-head with Jordan and everyone else is in your league. And it just goes on for that weekend. We had to go. And we were neck and neck for a while, weren't we? Yeah. And then I just came last again as per my fantasy league form.
My first ever go, when the guys approached us, they're like a Liverpool sort of consortium, the good lads. So it was the Champions League week, wasn't it, a couple of weeks ago, and I was top of the league all the way through, and I think Suarez scored like seventh minute of injury time at 80.
Yeah, 95th minute. Or something.
And that knocked me down. But the first 2 goals, I actually won a bit of money. But I think the best bit of it, I think it's like £4 or something. Each league, or you set it.
I think £3 was the one I done.
And then you set your team, and obviously you play against your mates. There's a really interactive like leaderboard. You go up and down. There's no limits on sort of players you can pick or sort of money and stuff like that. Yeah. It's really just knowledge, I guess, but you're betting against your mates, sort of small stakes. Basically, just it's a good laugh, and I really
it was a good laugh, and for £3, £4, or £5 or whatever it was, you can win decent money as well.
Yeah, I think the guys commit some money, and then obviously the amount of people that we get to sign up to our league, the pot will just grow. Yeah. And then obviously the winner takes some money, I think second, third.
Yeah, I think the top 5 win. Yeah. So, yeah, check it out. I mean, I had a couple of goes of it last week for the Champions League. Good laugh. So, yeah, you'll be hearing a lot more about it next week. So, for now, check them out. It's called BetMate. The link is in the bio.
There we are.
Here we are. Cup of teas as well. Coming up in the world. We've got a kettle in the office now, so cheers. Mate, big week of sport ahead, boxing-wise. We've got few mad things going on in the football world, first and foremost.
I mean, we just obviously the news sort of in the last day or two about Newcastle, their owners taking over here worth like 300 billion.
Well, you said that Man City's owners are worth something 200 billion.
I seen like some sort of like league, but he blows the Man City guy out the water, or this consortium does. But I know there's issues with like people saying human rights because they're from Saudi, I think.
As if anyone in football is asked about human rights. Yeah, if the money's right.
Football's really not a game of
morals.
Yeah. No. But for Newcastle fans, like they've obviously had tough times and stuff. Not saying money automatically buys you success, but something for them to get.
Success generally does follow.
Where they went, like they were getting relegated from the Championship at one point. And
I'd feel less bothered. I say this now. I feel less bothered if Newcastle had the money pumped into them than Man City. I don't know why, but
I guess it's that whole thing, because it's not impacting us when they start beating us and stuff like that.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you're probably right, actually.
But it's like, I don't know, it's just obviously more money in the game. It's crazy. Steve Bruce is thinking like...
Steve Bruce is going, sign me Mbappe now.
Yeah. Know about that 5-year contract you were talking about, any chance? But yeah, if that goes through, mate, it obviously blows everyone out the water, really, including City and the like.
Can you see it happening, though?
Apparently it's like over the line, it's done, it's just like an announcement. Usually you have these sort of headlines, don't you, and like they sort of fade away. Yeah. This is the top of like the BBC Sport app. news thing, it's everywhere.
I wonder if they'll go through those transitional years, what Man City did where they bought like mad players like Robinho. Remember that?
Yeah. Maybe because I guess some players, will only go because of the dough, but not all players will do that. They'll sort of let people go first. But if you think about it, mate, they've got the stadium, they've got the fan base, they got, it's in the northeast what people like, be...
No, but that's one of the... Sorry to interrupt, that's one of the problems.
Yeah.
Listen, I love Newcastle. Been up there many times, love it, been in the stadium, it's great, love Newcastle, love Geordies, a few mates of Geordies, love it. Football players though, I don't think would want to go and live in the northeast.
100%. But football players wouldn't want to go and live in the northeast when they're 13th in the league and they're offering less money than everyone else, but if they're offering more money than everyone else...
It's that whole thing though, mate. I got it with, I remember Sanchez, I think, when he was either at United or something, it was like... I was a player in the northwest and it was like his missus was like, I want to live in London.
How is Willie in that?
I don't want to live in the north of England.
Get enough money, he's got a chopper to train every day, live in London.
I just think, mate, and again, it's no disrespect to the northeast, but I just think that, you'll get these wags and stuff and be like, I'm not going to live in the northeast.
To be honest, like, Newcastle, I went to the game when I was actually invited into a bit of a corporate gig when Origi scored.
You dropped these little, no, I just went this corporate gig now and again.
Yeah, but...
Eating your prawn sandwiches and all that.
Proper lad. Do you know when Origi scored that goal? It was like a week before the final or something.
Yeah.
I was there and they actually went ahead in the game. Rondon scored, who plays for Everton now.
That was when we were still going for the league, wasn't it?
Yeah, mate. I've never heard noise like that though, Liverpool included, when they scored.
Oh yeah, the stadium's rocking, mate.
It was literally moving. Like, I think Rondon scored a bit of a worldie, actually, a little volley from the edge of the box. And honest to God, it felt like the place was caving in on you.
Yeah. Mate, I love Newcastle.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, good luck if they get that over the line.
Just don't sign Salah, for fuck's sake.
On Salah, I think he's kind of, when he whips his top off, it's the kind of say, like, isn't it? I'm the man. And I think when you look at his new contract, still, by the way, is not being announced yet.
Scaring me.
That's what I mean. It does maybe give like some Newcastle or anyone to think, listen, they don't want him. They're not signing him.
I'm telling you now, Man City and the like have rang his agent by now.
Do you reckon?
100%. I know people say Mo won't go, but they're not speaking to Salah. They will 100%. Imagine Man City with Mo Salah.
Don't. De Bruyne and Salah.
And if we lose him, it's our fault, because whatever he's asking for, he's worth. I don't care about he's earning too much money or the footy players. I do not care. That's the going rate. That's where football is at. Unless you want to take a mad stance and say we're not paying anyone, then that's fine. But if we don't pay him what he wants or what he's worth, someone else will.
I think it's just hard when you come away from how good he is for 500 grand a week. If that's what he's asking for, it is a crazy amount of money, isn't it? But then you look at, the job he's doing. There's no one's done it like him. Do you know what winds me up actually? People are even talking about Suarez being in the same thing as him. It come up again at the weekend with the lads. If anyone is even talking Suarez and Salah in the same sentence, they need to take their head for a wobble. And
it's because he's not as flashy. There's not nutmegs or goals from the halfway line and all that stuff. Which Suarez was a bit of a one-off with that, but what Salah's done is incredible. He's the best player I've ever seen at Liverpool, ever. And I dare to that because I love Gerrard, but he actually is. And
really, yeah?
Mate, he is, 100%.
Above Gerrard?
Oh. Not as Gerrard's
you
the
said
man.
it now, sure.
Gerrard's the man, but as a I'm honest to God, I've never seen anything like it. That goal, he doesn't even look in control of the ball, but he is.
And I think it's the opposition as well. It's all right doing that against, Burnley in the League Cup or something. He's done it in the Premier League against your rivals.
Mate, Carragher nailed it as well on the thing. When we had, on Sky Sports, whatever he's on, when we had Mo, Salah and Bobby, and they were all sort of in and around.
Mo, Salah and Bobby?
Mo, what's the other one? Mane and Bobby. Yeah, when we had them, these got me flustered. But, they were all at the sort of same level. He's just keeping... Mane's sort of petering out a bit. He's just keeping going. And I don't even think he's at his best yet.
Yeah. I think he's at his peak now, I think. How long that continues for, I don't know, but he's unbelievable. I think he makes it into any, all-time Liverpool 11.
He's the best player in the world on form.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
And that's the problem, because every other team will take him. Every single team on the planet.
Yeah, Liverpool need to get that contract sorted out ASAP.
Can you imagine what happens if they don't?
Oh, there'd be fucking murder. and I'll be at the front of it causing it all.
I'll be there with you. Oh, we can't lose him.
Evan as well, mate, flying.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely flying.
1.7 million for Damari Gray.
Great draw at United that last week.
Paid it back already. Andros Townsend as well, like, we sort of made fun of that. Not made fun of it, but like, oh, Andros Townsend on free. He's everything Everton wanted. He graphs, scores, you know, they just look like a team. Obviously,
I'm not worried about them in the kind of title race, kind of worrying, but like, they'll get Europe, them.
Keep going.
I think they will.
Them two midfield, Allen and Decore. That Decore's a player, mate. Real player, because he's athletic. You know, chips in with the odd goal, assists, plays off both feet. And he just, I think it's a good thing for him, actually. He just, like, rolls along. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no, like, headline. He just, every
gets
single
the job
week,
done, yeah.
I think United started quite fast in that game. And then them two just got the game by the scruff of the neck and just started to frustrate Man United. And then once Man United ran out of ideas, they're done. They brought Ronaldo on. He was just obviously a bit too late. Sancho didn't do a thing when he come on.
Yeah.
If you can frustrate them enough, it starts to...
I think Gary Neville nailed it with United. It's like they're great for moments, but when it comes to having a plan and having a way of playing, they haven't got it.
No, they haven't.
And those moments will get you out of the shit and will win you a few games here and there. But week on week, I'd rather have a team than just players who can create moments now and again. Because like on Saturday against Everton, it didn't happen.
And that's what I said the other week, you know, when everyone's like, oh, they got Ronaldo, they got Sancho.
It started, hasn't it? The throwing the toys out the pram.
Do you know me? It's okay when everything's going great. As soon as something starts going wrong or you drop him and it doesn't work out, and why he dropped him, I have no idea. He's just trying to be too clever. But and when you do that, and he starts getting annoyed, and do you know what I mean? He starts to open himself a big old box of worms.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah, Everton absolutely.
No,
fine.
I'm made up to see as well. To be fair to them, yeah. So
when's the derby?
I don't know.
Can't be long.
Yeah,
usually October time, innit? October, November.
Might be actually October, end of October, early November, I think.
If they continue, because you forget as well, like Dominic Calvert-Lewin had been injured.
Yeah, Richarlison injured,
I mean?
Pickford been injured, I think.
So they're not actually at full strength, and I think Rafa's just got a way of playing, and it seems to be working.
I don't even want to talk about it because I get too invested already. It's too early to get invested.
I don't know. Obviously, the cameras are brilliant these days, but when it panned to this supporters after Townsend's goal, like I know it's Everton, but
no, it's brilliant.
Yeah, God, it was all like slow mo and stuff, and he did the Ronaldo celebration.
Yeah. No, it was great. Chelsea looking good as well. That's the only problem. That's the only negative about the football talk, I think, this week.
I think, you know, at the top, obviously Liverpool, City, Chelsea seem to be setting the pace. I think Liverpool's draw with City was probably fair, and then, you know, Chelsea just bobbing along nicely. I think that's who's going to be the top three, if I'm honest. But yeah, even managing to get Werner and Lukaku into the same team, which is a little bit of a worry, because even though that Werner's had a bit of a bad time, he seems to be starting to score a few goals and stuff. Do you know what I mean? If they're not just relying on Lukaku, then that's a bit of a problem for us all, really. See, Barkley's worked his way back in as well, hasn't he? Started the season with no squad number.
Talking about the midfielders, random one, who's kind of working their way back. Well, I say working their way back in. I wouldn't go as far as that, but Jack Wilshere is training at Arsenal. He's 29. Obviously, we had Jose Baxter on the pod.
Yeah.
Big shout out, by the way, for everyone who's watched that. We had some great feedback. 29, same age as Jose. And
they were in the same England team, hadn't they?
His deal at Bournemouth expired last season.
He signed for a team called Como in Italy, like Serie B, but because of Brexit, they couldn't sign. His passport was not one of the, I don't know, whatever the new brand of passport is, and they couldn't sign him.
It said here, Wilshere has publicly spoken about struggles with his own mental health and highlighted the importance of talking. Anyway, he's training at Arsenal. I think that
serious player Wilshere was, mate.
They're trying to help him get on his feet, so hopefully he gets back to it.
It's crazy, and there's a lot of parallels between him and Jose, obviously.
Yeah.
When they come through, they were like a year ahead of me, I think. Or a year ahead of me. Obviously, I was not on their level, but even going through, you'd always hear about how good they were, and obviously now to look at them both in the situation they're in. Obviously, Jose's doing really positive stuff, but it's mad, isn't it, how footy works out. Like, Wilshere popped in with that. He's playing against Barca, he was like 17, wasn't he?
Was he? Yeah.
He played that Arsenal game at the Emirates, and he ran the game against like Xavi and Iniesta, and he was a kid.
Another one on the footy talk, mate. A Brighton player's been released on bail after suspicion of sexual assault. I think the rumours on Twitter, Yeah, so I don't really want to say whose name it is, but on Twitter the rumours are rife. Like, what is it about footy players at the moment? Just being absolute wrong'uns.
Mate, I mean, obviously it's very, delicate in terms of, guilty, innocent until proven guilty, but it's becoming a real theme and scary.
At one point, my dad had on his fantasy, he had 2 of them in his fantasy, who both didn't nick.
I love it. Someone, one of the fantasy footy league Twitter accounts put out, if you think your team's bad, just know that 5% of people selected Sigurdsson this week. That was like 2 weeks,
I think he was him and Mendy were on my half-hour's bench, I think, for a while.
0.
Oh, so yeah, that's a bit worrying. Before we go on to the big weekend of boxing.
Yep.
Again, this is a bit contentious, me saying this, so I don't think there are any women who listen to the Sportcast. Maybe there is, I don't know.
Should be.
But an all-female refereeing team will take charge of England's World Cup qualifier in Andorra on Saturday. This just feels to me a little bit like are they the best people for the job? I don't know.
I think that's all it needs to come down to. By the way, if the women are the best people for the job, then they should be on. But you can't convince that all them women involved are the best that can possibly be selected. But then again, the argument is, how do you get women involved if you don't give them an opportunity? And I get it, but I think there was a woman who took an FA Cup tie this weekend, and apparently she had a really good game, really good refereeing performance. And I'm all for it, women refs and stuff, absolutely all for it, because I think the good thing about it is it might stop the way players speak to referees, hopefully. But yeah, I think all women in one game as like a bit of a...
It's just a token effort, like you say. It's like,
I'm not sure that's the right way to go about it, really.
And I'm like you say, I'm all up for changing to seeing more women in the game, and I think that's great. I just hate things in society where it's like it's done just because. Yeah,
and I think when you're doing it just because, or when you're putting a group of women in maybe who aren't the best, maybe the ref is, but the others aren't, you then open yourself up to criticism, don't you? You open yourself to... You're making it a novelty. You're making it like, look at them women who are... Rather than, oh my God, that woman's a good referee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're making it a joke act.
Yeah, it's a good point, yeah. So they could all have an absolute worldie of a performance refereeing, and it'd be like, oh, fucking hell, God.
Yeah. Whereas if a woman... Obviously, opportunity needs to be there for them, but if a woman comes through on merit, whether that be a linesman, a referee, whatever, then she then gets judged on merit, hopefully. No.
And if all these have come through on merit, then ignore me, I'm talking shite.
But you can't. Yeah.
But it just seems like it's been like, England are playing Andorra, no one gives a fuck about this game, go on, let's get the token, we get every woman in.
Yeah, and I think it probably, it takes away from what they do, because everyone's looking at it now as if to say, look at them, they got put in, like it's a bit of a charity. You know what I mean? And
I think that's how it looks, yeah.
It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah. On that international note, it's fucking another shite weekend of international football. It kills me. I get right into the last week, City, Liverpool, Everton, United, you're like, yes.
I've really got the bug back for footy as well. I really struggled in the COVID era of like the no fans and that. Even Liverpool, I was getting to like 70 minutes in games and I was turning off, and do you know what I mean? I thought my love was dwindling, but this season I'm bang right back into it, going on the refs. I think the refs have been great. I don't know, I'm just bang into it and just keep getting these weeks. There's another one before Christmas as well, isn't it?
Is there? I thought this was the last one.
No, it was one in November apparently.
That's all shite, isn't it?
Yeah, I know they got to get them in, but I'm one of the only people who thinks international football's crap now and when tournaments are on.
Same. So one thing actually, just on before we leave football, I said on my Twitter, there's going to be not long before there'll be a witch hunt for players who've not been vaccinated. Apparently only 30% of footballers have been vaccinated. Yeah,
I think...
Something like 5 England players haven't been yet vaccinated. Again, without getting into COVID, I'm just one of them where you think, listen, if you want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you don't.
Live and let live's gone, mate. That's no longer a thing. You have to declare now what you are and where you sit. And, I would never dream of asking somebody, are you vaccinated? And if I was in a workplace or I was anywhere else and someone said to me, are you vaccinated? Then I'd say, well, it's not your business whether I am or I'm not. And like, obviously when you speak like that, people go, oh, you're definitely not vaccinated. But most of the time it's not the case. But when you're starting to invade people's privacy and, making them justify their own decisions, you start saying, what did you have this morning? Cornflakes or shreddies?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
where's your stop? Yeah.
You can't... unless someone's breaking the law, you can't tell them to justify what they've done or what they chose to do.
I picked up on it in the media. It said, you know, so-and-so who's been double vaccinated against so-and-so who's yet to be vaccinated. It's like, you know, you're reporting on sporting players who were there to play sport, and you're reporting on them, on their medical history, essentially.
It was like the thing with, you know, Klopp did a little soundbite about it, didn't he? I didn't actually listen to it because I was saying to myself, like, I don't want to know. Like, that's not what I'm watching. Maybe he was right, maybe he was wrong, but that's what, I'm not there to listen to that. Do you know what I mean? It's not... I have enough of that. Do you know? Don't start coming into my arena.
I don't want my manager who gives me my little break.
Yeah, I don't need it to be starting to creep into here now as well.
Yeah.
I totally, whether this is right or wrong, I do not care who's vaccinated or unvaccinated in the Premier League. I honestly don't care.
Is Mo Salah scoring this weekend? That's what I want to know.
Is he signing the contract?
Is he signing the contract? I'm not asked if he's been vaccinated or not.
And I think people lose that. That football is thousands and thousands, millions of people's escape from what is reality. Do you know what I mean? Stop clouding it with this rubbish.
So yeah, before we talk too much on COVID, if you're listening, John Henry, not asked about whether Mo's been vaccinated, give him the fucking contract. Please. Thank you. Boxing then.
Oh, here we go.
Boxing, talk to me.
Just over there, mate, I reckon.
I think you, well, first off, we should say massive, the postman delivered again with the Usyk.
Yeah.
You said
we did, yeah.
You supported them when no one else did, and you've absolutely nailed it.
What a fighter.
And it's through, you know, it's massively through a spanner in the works for what would have been this weekend, the winner, Fury.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you know, it's going to be so interesting to see what happens now.
Could be sitting here next week and, you know, we were all talking about Fury AJ, could be Usyk Wilder, you know what I mean? Don't think it would be, but that's the way.
Imagine.
The way it could go. But yeah, obviously quickly on Usyk, just an incredible fighter. I was so confident, but then once I watched the first round, I was just like, you know, this is going one way. This fella's just too good, and he is too good. But yeah, obviously this weekend, the end of the trilogy between Wilder and Fury. Fury's how they clashed the other night, didn't they?
I saw it. Wilder looked like he was insinuating that, you know, Fury needed to box for money because he's basically putting a lot of it up his nose.
Yeah. I mean, obviously there's always them allegations around Fury and about, you know, loving the Charlie and all that stuff. I think he did probably once, but I think he's admitted that once in his time. But the thing with Wilder is, he had this air of invincibility because he was putting everyone away. But now it's sort of like, you just see through it, don't you? It almost looks like he's desperate to just get anything he can because he can't win the slanging match because Fury's just too good at it. You know, the chatting rubbish, really. He's too good at it.
I did see an interview with Fury that he done with Neville, and Fury admitted and said, oh yeah, no, he has got that power that does put you asleep. And I just think going into the fight, you know, whether you're saying there, you know, Wilder's got nothing else to, but that's a good thing to rely on though.
Oh yeah, well he says it himself, doesn't he? You have to be perfect for 36 minutes, I have to be perfect for 1 second.
Is that what he said? That's a great line, that.
And it's true, he does, but I just don't know what psychologically Fury's taken out of him. One, when he got up. But do you know what the thing is? And I said this to my dad. Do you know when he hits him on top of the head in the first fight and Fury's on his way down? I think he's knocked out. It's the left hand when he's on his way down. I almost think it like wakes him up. Do you know what I mean? Like, and then once he hits the canvas, he's like, oh my God. You know what I mean? I think if he'd have just left him, he wouldn't have.
No way, I'm not believing that.
He hit him up here. And then...
So Fury sparked out and it's like someone slapped him.
Yeah, so he hit him up here and his legs are gone from underneath him and he's falling like down as if, you know, probably snapped his ACL. And then as he's halfway down, Wilder catches him with the left hand. I'm not saying it physically woke him up, but it's like a shock. And then he hits the floor and he's like, oh my God, I'm actually here. I don't think he'd have got up if he just left him.
That's an interesting observation.
But I don't know what that took out of him because he done that. And then,
mate, how demoralising would that have been?
And then Fury comes out and basically ragdolls him for 7 rounds, does what he wanted him, punches him, drops him a couple of times, takes a few shots, do you know what I mean? Suddenly it's like Wilder's got, oh my God, someone in the world isn't going to sleep when I hit them. And it's that, like, he can tell us all he wants, but has he got doubt now, you know what I mean?
And if that's your big thing, that's your USP, this crazy, scary knockout power that puts people asleep, when you're landing them and it's not putting people asleep.
And you know full well you're not that good of a boxer. It's almost like fucking naked, aren't you, basically? And I just don't know whether, you know, in his mind, somewhere in his quiet moments on his own, in the shower or in bed or whatever, he thinks, you know, can this fella take what I've got and, you know, just keep walking forward? I don't think he'd ever say that, but that's the intricacies of it, you know what I mean?
So where are you thinking this is going then?
I think it's super dangerous for Fury because I don't know if he's as switched on as he was the second time. I don't know what sort of shape he's going to be in. Be interesting to see what he weighs in and stuff. But, you know, I think Fury's the better fighter, better boxer, but he can be knocked out. He's been dropped multiple times in his career, but yeah, I just think it might be a case of Fury just turning it into his fight, like really long, really boring. Do you know what I mean? And just take no risks, win every round, and then at the end can say, well, I've knocked him out, you've robbed me once, and I've now boxed him.
I've just schooled you.
Yeah, just so like, I don't want to hear the conversation ever again. Do you know what I mean? And I also think the result of AJ Usyk will also play into that, because Fury's now thinking, if I get through this, I'm the man, you know what I mean? Like, obviously Usyk's there, but I'm over AJ, I'm over Wilder, I can have the Usyk fight if he beats AJ again, but the risk now is like, you know, if he gets beat as well, he's just on the scrap heap with Joshua sort of thing, do you know what I mean? There's so much pressure now.
It'd be really sad if he does get beat, because then British boxing's not then the home of all the champions anymore, is it?
Ukraine. But yeah, I think we sort of, as a British boxing, we do need Fury to win, but I think he will win. I think he's 11-4 points, and that's going to be my bet. I mean, I'm going to go small because, as I say, I never really trust Tyson Fury in terms of mentally whether he's actually on it. But I think
11-4 seems a decent price.
Yeah,
though.
because he's odds on to get the knockout, which is understandable because he has knocked him out. But you know, I think 11-4 because with Fury known not to take money risks. I think that could just be a bit of a boxing clinic. You know what I mean? Take Wilder's best assets away from him, demoralise him, and just play with him basically. But Wilder throws a big haymaker and it lands. It could be
game over.
But yeah, that's another reason I think he won't take any risks. Because he's took the risk. The second fight was the risk. Do you know what I mean? He had to win it. He took the risk. He walked forward. Now he's the man.
Yeah. Interesting. Mate, close to home then.
Yeah, obviously.
We will be there ringside. Cannot wait.
Yeah, I've got a very nice seat on me this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just what a card. Like top to bottom, just full of unbelievable fights. Even, you know, I think the first Natasha Jonas down the bottom. Debut of Peter McGrail. Obviously, people hope to go on to big things. Blaine Highland, another local lad. Luke, who we've had on. I think Luke's on at like 6 o'clock.
I can't wait to see Luke. You think he's going to have a tough fight?
Yeah, I think it's you know, the thing is, I mean, Eddie's putting stuff out this week about it, you know, potentially being fight of the night and stuff like that. And I think from both men, if you said to Ryland Charlton, who's coming down 2 weight divisions, you know, what's your perfect opponent? He'd probably say someone who hasn't got much power, who I can sort of march down, take them out. Because on Luke's record, although Luke does hit harder than his record suggests, he doesn't look like he's got much power. But then if you said to Luke, what's your perfect opponent? He'd say a big stocky fella who just wants to take my head off and I'll just, you know, box the ears off him. So for both of them, they sort of like, both of them are thinking, that's my ideal opponent, you know what I mean? So
it's interesting.
It's whoever can obviously impose the will, impose the game plan. And whoever, you know, if Luke, this is the biggest stage of Luke's career, by far. How can he handle it? I think he can. And obviously Ryland Charlton's, you know, he's 6-1-1, I think his record is. He got stopped in his last fight, obviously up at welterweight. He's had a couple of really close fights with journeyman early in his career, got a draw against a journeyman. And although he does carry serious power, you look a bit deeper into his record, he's not this wrecking ball machine that he likes to get painted as. Although he's in incredible shape, like, I wouldn't mind being in looking like him, like he looks alright, but just, yeah, I honestly think Luke can do it, but I think Luke's got questions to answer in terms of, you know, he's probably going to get hit for the first time as a professional, square on the chin. He's got to obviously take that. He's got to handle this week. He's got to handle, you know, the atmosphere, the nerves, the big night, all that stuff. But
yeah, totally.
you know,
I mean, Luke, when we had him on the pod, you know, was asking for this. You know, I want this, and like you say now, it's this time to say, okay, look,
this is everything he's asked for.
Yeah.
And obviously Bellew's delivered for him. Eddie seems to like him behind him. You know, if he wins this, I wouldn't be surprised if Eddie give him a 2-3 fight deal. But everything he's said about his life and, you know, all them days on the car park he was telling us about, this is it, you know what I mean? This it comes down to Saturday night, 6 o'clock, and you're either, you know, sink or swim. But I think he's got the boxing ability to do it. You know, he's got to get Ryland Charlton's respect because, you know, I don't think Ryland Charlton will have watched him that much. And he'll probably be thinking, oh, well, I can walk through this kid, you know what I mean? So he's got to get his respect and got to get it early. But I think he can do it, and I think the 2-1 on offer for him to beat Ryland Charlton on points in a 10-rounder, you know, is good value because, you know, first 4 rounds are going to tell you where this fight's going. It'll either be Luke in a rhythm and Ryland Charlton swinging for the bleachers sort of thing, or, you know, be Ryland Charlton on Luke's chest giving him hell. But yeah, I think the first 4 rounds are very important. But I think if you can see Luke getting in a rhythm within 4 rounds and you're sitting on a 2-1 point ticket, that'll quickly be 10-11, you know, in play. So that's where you need to be.
Nice.
Oh mate, so much fight.
Talk to me, because I'm going to be sitting there ringside, half cut, watching all these with an excitement.
Do you make my favourite journeyman's on the card as well? Kamil Sokolowski, he's a heavyweight.
I like his name already.
He's Polish. He's 10-22-2, right? Mate, he should have a winning record. He's been robbed more times than you could ever imagine.
Really?
He's quality fighter, like really good. Just never had the backing, so he went on the road. He boxed a lad called David Adiyali, I think that's how you pronounce it, on a Frank Warden show. Absolutely battered him. Lost it on points. He's fighting Sol Dacres, who's 2-0. He's looked okay. He was on the GB squad, looked okay, but this is a serious fight to be taken in your third fight. You know, whether he gets it or not, it's a different story, but if anyone gets in the arena early or they're watching on sort of the Zone early or Facebook or whatever it's on, just watch this fella, Kamil Sokolowski. He's a legend, mate.
That's a scary thing then for him.
Sol Dacres, yeah. It's very early to be fighting him, like very early, because you know, people have done this before and he's flattened them.
What are the prices as well?
He's not even that big. I think he's like 7-2 or something.
Oh really? Yeah.
Like, so, but I think he's been backed in a little bit because there's a sort of a community of boxing betters, I guess, who know how good he is. So they'll always throw it down just in case. Do you know what I mean? I remember I took like 8-1, I think it was, for might even been bigger, against David Adiyali, and he won. I'm thinking, yes, but obviously I knew he weren't going to get it. But, you know, if he gives Sol Dacres hell early on in the night, don't be surprised.
It's interesting.
Then obviously we got, as people said in the bottom, Blaine Island, Natasha Jonas, Peter McGrail, all that stuff.
You'd expect Peter McGrail then to just walk over his opponent? Yeah,
no name down yet, still fighting TBA, but I think they'll push Peter out maybe like 8 o'clock, you know, let him see the crowd, sort of someone in there who he can have his way with, so to speak. And just get his career off and running, because, you know, he's someone that people always thought would go and get an Olympic medal. You know, the waiting round probably killed him a little bit. But, you know, he's someone that people have always thought is going to be a great pro, so a bit like Luke, it's on him now to just go and be the pro everyone thinks he is. But, you know, moving up, we got Shannon Courtney, who's a world champion woman. She's defending a WBA title against Jamie Mitchell. I think if there's going to be an upset on the card, I think this is probably it. Jamie Mitchell's quite tough. Shannon Courtney's not someone who's really impressed me that much. She's not very likeable either as a person.
Why?
Yeah, she just like, just over the years she just comes across like really annoying, you know what I mean? I think it's a general thing as well. I'll send you the interview. She's just like, I don't know, she's really trying her hardest to be like something she's not, and it's really tough to watch anyway. But I think Jamie Mitchell's probably the one who might, you know, at least
put the apple cart.
Yeah, but I think Shannon Courtney's like a late 8-11 to win on points, so I think obviously that's where people are at with it. But then the top 3 fights on the card, just unbelievable. Kieran Conway, James Metcalf, obviously JJ Metcalf, son of Shane Neary, had a ding dong with Ted Cheeseman last time out. Fighting Kieran Conway, Eddie loves him really. He burst on the scene because he got a draw with Ted Cheeseman a few years ago, but he's then been out fighting, like, I think he was on the Canelo card, Canelo Billy Joe. He got a bit of a split decision loss there, but he fights JJ, who's obviously coming off a really tough, he got knocked out really bad. That's over 10 rounds, so I think that's going to be a really good fight and really important for the winner, because the loser really has got nowhere to go, do you know what I mean? So both of them are rolling the dice there a little bit. I just think, I hate picking against Scousers, but Conway's just too big, I think. 154, so all the 3 fights at the top of the card are at 154. I just think he's too big, he doesn't punch that hard, but he's a proper athlete, you know what I mean? He's a big fella.
I always think as well in a fight, it's, you know, sometimes the sides, you know, when you see them come together, just being big and having someone lean on you, and like, you know, it's...
I think
it's hard, isn't it?
with JJ obviously coming off that really bad knockout, don't know what it's quite took out of him. This is probably, someone you really wouldn't pick to fight Kieran Conway, you know what I mean? He's a big fella, really good boxer, got more power than his record suggests. It's just a bit of a nightmare opponent, you know what I mean? And I think Kieran Conway will win. And actually, he's 11-2 for the stoppage, which, if you look at his record and you watch him, he's not a knockout artist by any stretch of the imagination. But as I said before, he's bigger, he's stronger. JJ's really good, but what's left after that fight?
Yeah.
I just think 11-2 on the singles, really big.
Really big,
for Conway knockout. Yeah, and then obviously Ted Cheeseman, Troy Williamson for the British title, best belt in boxing. Also at 154, another bloodbath that'll be. I hope we're not too close, we'll be covered in clarity. Yeah, that's another great fight. Obviously Ted had a bit of a bad lost couple of years ago, bounced back really well, beat JJ last time. Obviously looking to move on to bigger and better things, probably wants to fight Smith Fowler, really, the winner of, or at least chase them down. But I think that's a fight that it's looking like it'll go all the way. I think I think Ted's the favourite by far. He's got enough power to take him out, but Troy Williamson's a lad who's on the GB squad, decent pedigree, but not set the world alight as a pro yet, but obviously this is his big chance. And then main event, Smith Fowler.
Can't wait for this, lad. There's been some good promos come out, hasn't there? Like good, North against South and all this. And
it really is split, isn't it? Because Fowler's the divisive character. There's no one who says I don't mind Anthony Fowler. Do you know what I mean? It's either don't like him or I'm with him.
Yeah. Did you see Beefy come out and say that Eddie's kind of done him for the tickets a bit?
Yeah. I think
Eddie's made it 50-50 split, whereas Beefy seems to think that there would have been a hell of a lot more support for him.
I think the neutral fan will be with Beefy, just because I don't know what it is with Fowler. People just aren't on board. I don't know what it is, but
I think Beefy as well with his family as well. I think I don't think you can just look at any of the Smiths and just think, you kind of are Team Smith, or do you know what I mean?
I'm really interested to see the presser and stuff, because Liam said yesterday, he can't come and he can't say bad stuff about me on camera in promos, because he better say it to me face, do you know what I mean? And I think that's where this fight's won and lost. I don't know how Fowler's going to deal with all that.
I almost feel a little bit like Fowler's given Liam too much respect.
Yeah, I think that's the general thing.
It's like he's a bit scared. He's a little bit
intimidated.
In awe of being around.
When it was announced, I said the same thing. I genuinely believe Anthony Fowler's got the ability to make this a really close fight. It's the stuff around it. It's seeing Liam at the presser. Liam's quite feisty. He'll say stuff. He's not gonna. Didn't shake his hand last time. You'd be talking to him at the presser today at the the weigh-in. And Fowler he does have nervous energy, whether he denies it, you can see it. And you can see nervous energy anyway, can't you? Just in general. I think when he fights, he's got nervous energy. And I just think if this occasion eats him up a little bit, in terms of his first time headlining, first time being in a derby. Obviously he fought Scott Fitzgerald, but he's from Preston. You know what I mean? First time just being sort of the main attraction. Liam's seen it, been there, seen it, done it, you know what I mean? Done it with his brothers. But he fought Canelo, been a world champion. But then I guess Fowler's saying, well, he's done all that, but I'm catching at the right time, you know what I mean? I'll take over, but I think
it's fascinating for me that the kind of almost, the sliding doors, one's on the way up and one's possibly on the way down type thing, and obviously Liam's going to try and make sure that he's not going anywhere.
Honest to God, someone who, I watched the Kabanov fight, Liam Smith-Kabanov, the one that he got robbed in Russia last night in bed, and he's not on the slide. Do you know what I mean? And
Paul Smith said the same on Twitter.
He's just, when a fighter is, they'll always deny it, rightly so, you know what I mean? If I was getting a bit worse at my job, I wouldn't admit it. But, he's not on the slide. You don't go to Russia and win the fight against the Kabanov if you're on the slide. And Liam makes a good point, says, I'm 33, Fowler's 30. I mean, that's not like
23,
this 24. Is not this 22-year-old banger fighting a 33-year-old former world champion. Really, you should say Fowler should be way further down the road than he is. But when he tried to get further down the road, he got beat by Scott Fitzgerald. So I just don't buy into that he's beat. And but again,
I mean, I've looked at it from purely just from kind of being the North End, I guess, and knowing a few of the Smiths and the likes you've just mentioned, the nervous energy, and I just feel you're obviously got a lot more boxing credentials to kind of pick the fight, if you like. But yeah, I would have said Smith on my limited boxing knowledge, and you're definitely Team Smith as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you have to look at fight as fighter A and fighter B. Do you know what I mean? They can, and if you look at this fight as fighter A, if you just watch Liam and you watch Fowler and you didn't know what he was, Liam wins, and that's how you have to. That's how you have to take the sort of emotion out of it, so to speak, which is always hard with Scousers, like I said earlier. But I think that's how you got to do it. And I think, you know, as I say, Fowler's got the ability, he's got the power to hurt Liam. I've got no doubt about that. But you've got to handle the, you've got to handle the occasion. You know what I mean? You can't just go in there and go 1-2 bang, Liam's over, because even if you hit Liam and hurt him, he's not going anywhere unless you take him out. Probably laugh. He always smiles, doesn't he, when he gets hit? But yeah, I genuinely believe that people have wrote Fowler off a bit, but I think he has the ability to make this a really good fight. But I don't know whether he'll mentally be able to do it. How's it ending then? I think Liam on points, 13-8. I think 116, 112-ish. Do you know what I mean? Fairly comfortable on points. I just think first 6 will be frantic. Fowler will be really, really up for it, and then Liam will take over. And you know, Liam could get him out of there. But Fowler's a tough guy. You know what I mean? He's not. Some people don't like him and stuff, but he's never shown quit in him. You know, he got dropped by Fitzgerald and he got back up and got beat, but got back up. You know, he trains down in London with Shane McGuigan, who's a top trainer. Really good bonus for him this week. He'll obviously try and keep him calm, but you know, there's nothing in his makeup that suggests that he'll flake out or he'll get stopped. I just think Liam will be too much for him. So yeah, I think it'll be a really tough 12 rounds, but at the end of it, we'll all be saying what we're saying now. Liam's much better than British level. These lads are at British level, and Liam is a world-class fighter, and still is.
I can't wait, lads.
I can't wait to get in there. But we actually have got a card in Birmingham as well with Nick Ball on. So Nick Ball is a Scouser from Everton Red Triangle, shares a stable with Peter McGrail, who's I'm actually trying to get him on the podcast. He's someone who I think from Liverpool is going to be probably one of the best we've produced in recent years. Like when he gets
follow Nick on Instagram, yeah.
But he's brilliant with social media, and he's like, I just think he's, you know,
he just looks like a machine, doesn't he? He's like
really small and stocky. He does like CrossFit and stuff, and I think he's got all the attributes to go on and be something really special. Do you know what I mean? I think he's fighting this weekend on that card down in Birmingham, topped by Foster and Cunningham, which is a good fight as well. But this lad, he's been stopped twice. He's fighting. A bit of a journeyman sort of thing, but he's always been stopped late, but by fighters not as good as Nick. I think Nick on Sky Bet was evens for the knockout within 4 rounds, 1-4, and I quite like that. So yeah, you know, if you're looking for a little accumulator, whether try and sneak that in there. And obviously the main event, just quickly, Foster Cunningham, really good fight. Brad Foster's really good boxer, so is Jason Cunningham, but I think Brad Foster 5-4 for the decision again. If you're trying to build a little accumulator, one that's going to be like betting on the away meeting in the off season, you know what I mean? But yeah, both of them, Nick Ball 1-4 and Brad Foster decision, both nice little accumulator boosters, like.
Yeah, thankfully I'm going to be with you on the Saturday, just making sure on all these bets. But on that one, I just think a bit of a safer evens double was Fury to win and Liam to win.
I wouldn't put anyone off that.
You know, it seems a pretty banker double.
I think as well the favourite side of the 3 main events in Liverpool, Conway, Ted Cheeseman, Liam Smith, I think that works out about, you know, really good odds. I think it's over even, like it's a really good bet. I wouldn't put anyone off that either. Obviously, gamble responsibly, don't be doing nothing mad, but I think you can definitely pay for your Saturday night beers there, like. Yeah. Plenty of bets though, we'll bang them all up as well. Yeah, cannot wait.
It's going to be good, lads. It's going to be good. At least, again, I'm almost grateful that it's come on international weekend. Do you know what I mean? You're a bit gutted about the footy, but we've got a great stacked boxing card, so.
Yeah, little haircut, and then straight out.
Same, lads, same. Anything else you want to finish on?
No, mate, just the boss week, obviously, good to be back. Loads of plans for the pod, loads of boss guests.
Yeah, we are going to be uploading more Patreon episodes as well. We're going to be doing one straight after this, actually, so stay tuned. If you do support us on Patreon, it's £1 a week just to support us doing what we do. There's going to be a lot more content coming on. We've got brilliant guests lined up. We've got Denise Fergus, mum of James Bulger, who was tragically killed. We've got Rob Pope, the Scouse Forest Gump on coming up soon. We've got Bellew coming on soon. We've got Natasha Jonas coming on soon. It's looking bright and rosy, the future. So keep supporting us, keep liking, subscribing, telling your mates about it. The support means a lot. Nice one.